Obviously, I'm not expecting anything perfect from this film because of the reviews this movie's got, but at least I just want to have fun with the movie knowing exactly what it is. What is up, guys and DC fans? Welcome back to my channel. This is Isaac doing movie reviews. My name is Cat, and today I'm gonna review the latest comic book film that just came out, and that film is Shazam! Darn it. Shazam! Fury of the Gods has finally arrived. The sequel to the success Shazam that came out in 2019 that I really enjoyed. This movie is once again directed by David F. Sandberg, and this movie of course stars Zachary, Levi, Asher Angel, Jack Dylan Grazer, Johan Hounsou, with Helen, Mirren, Lucy Liu, and Rachel Zegler, with of course the original cast from the first Shazam movie. Now of course, this is a non-spoiler review. Even though this movie is not as big as some of the other comic book movies that are coming out, I'm still going to keep this movie review spoiler-free as possible so you guys are safe with me. Now, let's get on to the review. We start with the power of the gods. Billy Batson and his fellow foster kids are still learning how to juggle teenage life with their adult superhero alter egos. When a vengeful trio of ancient gods arrives on Earth in search of the magic stolen from them long ago, Shazam and his allies get thrust into a battle for their superpowers, their lives, and the fate of the world. Now, of course, I enjoyed the first Shazam movie. I thought that movie was just a lot of fun. It's very fresh, it felt like its own thing, and man, Zachary Levi looks like he had a total blast making that film, and I would say David F. Sandberg's direction with that film is really great. It's definitely my favorite DC Extended Universe films. So of course, I was pumped to see Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Even though the trailers aren't perfect, I'm still very excited to see how this movie turns out. Obviously, I'm not expecting anything perfect from this film because of the reviews this movie's got, but at least I just want to have fun with the movie knowing exactly what it is. Now, here's the thing. Is this movie better than the first Shazam movie? Absolutely not. This movie does have more issues than the first movie. But put that aside, I still had a total blast with Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I thought this movie was just a lot of freaking fun. It's a movie that absolutely does what the first one did well, standing out on its own. It doesn't feel like a setup movie. It doesn't feel like a movie that is even in the extended universe. It just feels like its own thing, and I'm really happy that Shazam! Fury of the Gods feels a little bit fresh, because after Ant-Man was Quantumania, I'm actually glad this movie turns out the way it is. Of course, the cast in this movie is great. Zachary Levi reprising his role as Shazam. He is still great. He is charming. He's hilarious in the film. And once again, he looked like he had a total blast making this film. And I thought Zachary Levi still does a really terrific performance in this film. Asher Angel is Billy Batson. Even though I have a flaw with his character in the film, I think he does a better job than he was in the first one. In acting wise, he tries to be like Zachary Levi. But surprisingly, one of the scene stealers of this film is Jack Dylan Grazer as Freddy. I love that this film explores his character a lot more in this film, and I thought he does a really great performance in here. He is definitely funny, he has charisma in the film, and I love that his character is mainly focused a lot in this film, because I thought Jack Dylan Grazer really looks like he had a blast working on this movie, and it really shows with his acting. I thought he does a really great job. But what I love the most about Shazam! Fury of the Gods is the chemistry between Shazam and the Shazam family. We get to see the Shazam family in action in this film more than the first one, and I gotta say, when they're in action, it's just a lot of fun to watch. But I would say the chemistry between Shazam and the Shazam family really brings a lot to this film, and I really love their chemistry with one another. I feel like that's what's great about the first one and this movie as well. They explore a lot of family elements. The first one's about where you belong. This movie's about keeping the family together. And I thought Shazam! Fury of the Gods explored all those elements very, very well. Are there some things that I feel like this one did better than the first one? Yes, there are a couple of things. One of the cases is the villains. Helen, Mirren, and Lucy Liu, I thought they done a terrific job in this film, and I thought they did a much better job than Mark Strong in the first movie. I thought he was a generic villain in the first movie. This movie, Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu actually did a pretty good job as these villains. Not to say that these villains are the best movie villains of all time, not trying to say that. These villains are very, very cliched, But Helen, Mirren, and Lucilu did a pretty good performance in this film as these villains. And once again, they look like they had a blast making this film, and I thought they did a pretty good job in this film. Rachel Zegler is also in this movie, and I honestly thought she does a really terrific job in this film. I think she has a great chemistry with Jack Dylan Grazer in the film. They have a little romantic chemistry with each other. I thought they have a good chemistry in the film, but I found her character very interesting in the film. Her powers are honestly really, really cool in the film. When you see it, it looks really, really cool. But Rachel Zegler's performance, it's not as great as West Side Story, of course, because those two are completely different movies, but I thought she does a really terrific job in this film as well. Same with Djimon Hounsou in the film, back as the wizard in the film. We get his character more explored in this film, and I would say he is surprisingly really hilarious in this film. There's a lot of great funny exposition scenes with the wizard, and I thought he has a great chemistry with Shazam and Jack Dylan Grazer in the film. I thought the wizard is probably one of the funniest characters in this film. Now, another thing I think Shazam Fury of the Gods improves from the first one is absolutely the action scenes. The action scenes are honestly a blast to watch in this film. They're filmed mostly very well. It's definitely more bigger scoped than the first Shazam movie. And I just gotta say, the action scenes are definitely one of my favorite aspects of the film. They're just a lot of fun. They're very entertaining in this film. But they're also very good to look at. Like the final battle scene, I thought it's one of the most beautiful final battle scenes that I have seen. It looks really cool to watch. And the visual effects, for the most part, look very, very good in this film. I would say the dragon in this film is probably one of the coolest dragons that I've seen in a while. I love the design of this dragon in the film. But just the visual effects in general, for the most part, I will explain it in the flaws of the film, look pretty good in the film. And of course, this movie is hilarious, like the first Shazam. There are some jokes that lay a bit flat, but most of the jokes really hit for me. This movie is very hilarious. The line deliveries are mostly well on point. But also, this film does have heart as well. There are some emotional scenes in this film, which I was really surprised of getting into, and I thought David F. Sandberg really does a good job directing these scenes, and honestly, there are some scenes where I'm like, I do not see this coming in the Shazam movie, and I was honestly almost in tears. Because the film does a really great job of making you care for these characters, making you care for the family element of the film. It really makes you care about those elements, and I feel like that's what David F. Sandberg underratedly does well with these movies. I think the Shazam movies does a really great job of explaining family. But of course, Shazam Fury of the Gods isn't a perfect movie. This movie does have more flaws than the first movie. These flaws don't change my opinion of the movie. I still had a total blast with this film, but these flaws show that I feel like the first one did some things a lot better than this film. I would say the balance between the kids and the adults in this film really has its troubles. What I mean by that is that this movie focuses more on the adult superheroes than the kids. The kids are barely in this film, especially Asher Angel as Billy Batson in the film. He is barely in this movie. Again, he does a great job in the film when he's in it, but for the most part, you get to see more of Zachary, Levi, and you get to see more of the adult superheroes in the film. And I just feel like the film should have done better with its balancing of the kids and the adults, because I think the first one did a lot better with that, because it introduces the kids, and the kids are really, really cool in the film. I wish they could have explored that more in this film, honestly, especially with the superhero, plot. I'm like, how are the kids are thinking in this situation when they're mostly all adults? And I feel like they just could have improved on that, like balancing between the kids and the adults. But with this new plot, I'm afraid this film couldn't do that. So I wish there is some way they can mix with the kids and the adults at the same time. Like, the kids are in the film, don't get me wrong. They're in the film, they do stuff in the film, but they weren't in the film all as much. Their mostly focus is more on the adult superheroes. And there is some visual effects in this movie that look very, very dated. Like, there are some creature designs in this film where I'm like, okay, they look like they need to be fixed, and they look a little bit unfinished. Even with Zachary Levi's character by himself, this is the thing a lot of people complain about, and I do agree with that, is that Billy Batson and Zachary Levi are two completely different characters. Zachary Levi acts more like a 10, 13-year-old, where Billy Batson is supposed to be an 18-year-old. So you notice that those two characters are completely different characters, and they're trying to make them all into one. It is a nitpick more than a flaw, but I do notice that throughout the film. I would say another issue with this film is the story. I thought the story is nothing original. We've seen stories like this many times before. It's one of those stories where you're like, yeah, it's going a bit safe. It's going a bit safe. It's something that we've seen many times before, but you know what? it knows what it is, so I'm totally okay with this flaw. And another thing that a lot of people despise about this film is the ending, and I do agree that the ending sucks. It builds up to a good ending. It has a good build-up. But then the execution comes in. And you know what I'm talking about when you saw this film. But there's a thing that came in to fix that ending. And honestly, I just want an alternate ending to this film. And remove this ending because I just find the ending not that great. I think it's one of the worst comic book endings that I have seen in a while. And honestly, throughout the film, I was having so much fun with it. And then the ending kind of ruined the film just a little bit. It still doesn't change the fact that I still had fun with the film. But the ending, in my opinion, it does pretty much suck. But all those flaws aside, overall, Shazam! Fury of the Gods is still a fun sequel. I did enjoy myself with Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I thought the action films are much more bigger scoped and better than the first movie. The cast, especially Zachary Levi, I thought they had a lot of fun with the film. With the better villains, Helen, Mirren, Lucy Liu, and Rachel Zegler, I thought they did a great job. This film is hilarious. It has heart. But the plot of the film is something that we've seen many times before. It's a very simple superhero film with some nitpicks and issues. But overall, I don't find this movie as bad as critics are saying. I could watch this movie and I could still have a lot of fun with it. I am going to give Shazam! Fury of the Gods a B. Also, this film has 2 end credit scenes, and it's one of those end credit scenes where I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen because of James Gunn's rebooted universe, so I don't know if it's pointless or it's leading up to anything, but check them out, they're fine. I would say the mid-credit scene more than the other one. Just saying. So guys, that is my review for Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Let me know what you think of this film in the comments below. Do you like this film, hate this film, or you thought it's okay? And do you think this is better than the first Shazam movie, or you thought the first Shazam movie is much better than this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And also, are you excited to see James Gunn's rebooted universe? I'm of course curious about it, but also very skeptical. That's just my personal opinion, even though there are some projects that I'm very interested in seeing. So make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below. Facebook, Status, Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd. Keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel notified for my latest movie reviews and other movie related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and Shazam!